Advisory. Some episodes of the 1836 podcast are not intended for all audiences due to details that might be considered disturbing. Listener and viewer discretion is advised.
This episode of the 1836 podcast shares the real story of Al Capone and his hidden retreats to Hot Springs, Arkansas. See how this Ozark haven shaped Scarface's dual life as both ruthless mobster and generous visitor. Alphonse Gabriel Capone was born on January 17, 1899 in Brooklyn, New York. He was the fourth of 9 children to Italian immigrants. Raised in the gritty Navy Yard district, young Al quit school at the age of 14 after striking a teacher, diving into deep petty crime and gang life. A barroom brawl in his late teens left him with facial scars that earned him the nickname of Scarface. In 1919, at the invitation of mentor Johnny Torrio, Capone moved to Chicago, where Prohibition's 1920 alcohol ban launched his rise into the underworld. By 1925, after Torrio survived an assassination attempt and retired, Capone took control of a criminal empire worth an estimated $100 million, equivalent to about $1.8 billion in today's dollars, built on bootlegging, speakeasies, gambling, and extortion. Yet amid Chicago's brutal gang wars, like the 1929 St. Valentine's Day Massacre, Capone found an unlikely refuge in the tranquil hills of Hot Springs, Arkansas, where he is revealed to be a complex figure, a ruthless mobster, yet a courteous visitor. Nestled in the Ouachita Mountains, Hot Springs had drawn visitors for centuries to its thermal waters, from Native Americans to explorers like Hernando de Soto in 1541. By the late 1920s, under the lax rule of corrupt Mayor Leo McCollin, the town became an open city, a haven where gambling, prostitution, and even bootlegging thrived, protected by bribed officials like Police Chief Herbert Dutch Akers, and an unspoken gangster code: no violence or risk losing the town's sanctuary status. This drew mobsters from across the nation, including Lucky Luciano, Bugsy Siegel, Meyer Lansky, and Oni Madden, who later settled there. Capone's connection began in the early 1920s when he joined Torrio on a business trip to negotiate with local moonshiners. They stayed at the Majestic Hotel, but Hot Springs soon became Capone's regular escape, a place for relaxation and illicit deals. Around 1922, Capone bought a failing dairy farm outside of Hot Springs and turned it into a moonshine distillery. To evade detection, he bottled the illicit whiskey in clear glass jugs, mimicking the legitimate Mountain Valley spring water, a local staple, and shipped it north via railroad tankers to fuel his Chicago speakeasies, cleverly cloaking crime in the town's wholesome image. Capone's visits were often sudden, arriving by train from Chicago in a private Pullman sleeper car, sometimes riding through Little Rock, traveling under assumed names, with up to as many as 40 bodyguards and associates. He sought respite from Chicago's gang wars and police pressure, soaking in the thermal baths to ease ailments. Rumors hinted at syphilis treatments, and indulging in betting on horses at Oaklawn Park, golfing at the Hot Springs or Belvedere country clubs, and gambling at local clubs like the Southern, the Ohio, or Vapors. In the mid-1920s, Capone's open presence at the Ohio Club, a lively speakeasy and jazz hotspot, showcased the town's complicity in his activities. He dined and drank there unbothered by local law enforcement, who was greased by bribes, and turned a blind eye to his notoriety. By 1925, with the Grand Arlington Hotel newly opened, Capone made it his Arkansas base, renting the entire 4th floor, including a suite with a secret passageway for quick escapes. In April 1926, after the murder of Chicago prosecutor William McSwiggan was pinned on his outfit, a botched hit on arrival, Capone fled to Hot Springs with associate Ralph Sheldon to lie low. Holed up in the Arlington under the alias Joe Cartel, he paced the halls, chain-smoking and ordering his men to keep quiet, relying on the town's corrupt officials to shield him as national headlines screamed for his arrest. He emerged only for discreet golf outings at the Belvedere, where him and his bodyguards carried Tommy guns and empty golf bags, a precaution even in his Arkansas neutral haven. But Capone's gentler side would also surface in Hot Springs, where he would occasionally shed his Chicago gangster image and reveal his generosity and social integration. In the late 1920s, local cabbie Jack Bridges, who also founded the Arkansas Alligator Farm, picked up Capone outside the Southern Club and drove him only a few blocks to the Arlington. To Bridges' astonishment, Capone handed him a $100 bill saying keep the change, a gesture that would be worth over $1,600 today. Around the same time, Capone became a fixture at the Southern Club's poker tables, always choosing an elevated seat at the back for a clear view of the entrances and exits, a precaution against rivals like Bugs Moran, who also vacationed in Hot Springs. He won and lost thousands of dollars in single nights, tipping dealers generously and enforcing calmness among his crew, helping his local reputation as being a courteous guest. Also in the late 1920s, Capone frequently visited the Vapors Club, another gambling hotspot where he enjoyed jazz performances and mingled with fellow mobsters. Capone's week-long stays offered peace, and even when rival gangsters vacationed simultaneously, truces were held to protect the town's underworld economy. By the late 1930s, as Capone's visit continued, his presence was an open secret. One morning, a local man's great-grandfather sat at a dinner table near Capone's entourage, unaware of their identity. A bodyguard politely suggested he move for his safety, but the man comfortably declined. Capone, overhearing, waved off the bodyguard with a nod, allowing the patron to finish his breakfast undisturbed. This small act was a reflection of the town's no-conflict code and Capone's willingness to honor it. Capone's empire unraveled in 1931, not by bullets, but by tax evasion charges. Federal agents led by Eliot Ness's The Untouchables secured an 11-year sentence. Capone served time in Atlanta, then Alcatraz, where isolation worsened his health, ravaged by untreated syphilis that progressed to neurosyphilis. Released in 1939, a diminished man, he retired to his Palm Island estate in Florida, where his brother Ralph and wife May maintained loose ties to Hot Springs through associates like Frank Nitti. On January 25, 1947, at the age of 48, Al Capone died of cardiac arrest, following a stroke, his body broken by disease. He was laid to rest at Mount Carmel Catholic Cemetery in Hillside, Illinois, under a simple gray marker inscribed Capone. Al Capone remains the emblem of Prohibition-era crime, but his Arkansas stays reveal a complex figure, a ruthless mobster, yet a courteous visitor by the Springs. The Arlington Hotel Suite number 443, where he stayed, remains a tourist attraction today, its secret passageway preserved as a nod to his presence. Hot Springs, now a national park, preserving its bathhouses and gangster history, stands as a relic of an era when the Ozarks sheltered America's most notorious in plain sight. The hot springs were believed to cure various ailments, but the thermal waters could not cleanse the scars of Al Capone's criminal life.